Nerds!
Nerds.
Nerds!
What is a nerd?
Go beyond! Plus!
A bunch of goddamn nerds.
何？
お前はもう死んでいる。
影分身の術
Nerds, welcome to the What's Your Nerd podcast. I am your host, Nerd Solo, and today we got a very special guest, Demetrius Holt.
My name is Demetrius Holt. I'm cosplaying as Kratos, the God of War. The reason why I cosplay is because I have the opportunity to be a part or be a character that's bigger than life and enjoy it.
Okay, let's go.
Drop!
How are y'all doing today? How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Good, man. I appreciate you taking your time to hang out with us for a bit. The other nerds, they got preoccupied with some other life things that's going on, so we'll
that
do a
sucks.
one-on-one session today.
Okay. I was looking forward to meeting the team.
So, how long have you been cosplaying for?
I got started in it had been June of 2017. So I had was going through a divorce. I used to do like amateur to professional bodybuilding competitions, like NPC stuff with my ex-wife. And when we split, that sort of me doing that was really just a way for me to be closer to her, which was apparently the wrong thing to do because, she wasn't really being honest with me about what was going on. So I I stopped doing that because you need a kind of like a support system when you're doing like bodybuilding and dieting and all that stuff. And um, I did 3 shows without her after as we were doing the going through the divorce, and it really just wasn't for me. It really wasn't something that I like had a passion for. So I came down here to my room um, one day, and I just sat here and I was like, this is who I truly am. Going to these day parties, going to these pink and white, parties and these mansion parties, these wine festivals. This isn't me because that's something that's indicative to the area I live in. I live in Baltimore now, or at least near Baltimore, but the DMV area is all about status. It's all about
Yeah,
like what do you do for a living as opposed to what do you do for fun, like
yeah,
that kind of deal. So that relationship centered around trying to be uh, a socialite, which is something that she really wanted to be. And I came down here and I was like, damn, I have a whole lot of stuff. Not just action figures, but I got like swords and lanterns from like Green Lantern and stuff. Like I could do something with this stuff. I just don't know what. And then like I had been going to comic book conventions, but I had not ever cosplayed. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do this for the first time at Awesome Con 2017, and my first cosplay was Kratos. And for me, that was kind of like that transitional period of my life where you're leaving one life to lead another. So it made sense to me to go as Kratos because I was already like 2 weeks out from a bodybuilding competition, so I already had the abs.
yeah,
and and when you know Kratos's lore, where his skin was, you know, had ashes of his wife and child fastened to it because he killed them inadvertently. Um, I figured when I wash this paint off of me, that's my former life, and coming into the new life, this is my baptism into cosplay. And I didn't realize how seminal of a change it would have been for me by doing that.
Okay, so I know there probably isn't many, but for the few nerds that may not know Kratos or the lore that is God of War. God of War is an action-adventure game franchise that came out in 2005 on the PlayStation 2. You guys remember the PlayStation 2, our old beloved? But from there, it became a juggernaut and has released 10 installments since. In God of War, it was revealed Kratos became the youngest captain in Sparta's army, but had a thirst for power. When Kratos was faced with total defeat by the barbarian king and his horde, Kratos called upon Ares for aid. Kratos was given the Blades of Chaos, destroyed his enemies, and blindly followed Ares, killing hundreds in his name. During a bloody rampage, Ares tricked Kratos into murdering his wife and daughter and burying them within a temple dedicated to Athena, unbeknownst to Kratos that they were in there. Kratos was shocked out of his bloodlust and renounced his service to Ares. As the temple burned, a village oracle cursed Kratos and condemned him to wear the mark of his terrible deed, the ashes of his family, which turned his skin pale white, earning him the title, the Ghost of Sparta.
Wow. That's really interesting. So it really had a symbolic meaning to, and that's also crazy because that was your first cosplay. I think I've
Mhm.
seen it, the full body paint. It looked like you've been cosplaying forever. That was your first one.
Yeah, I mean, because I never really cosplayed before. I just know what I like to see, and I have an artist that has painted my car's engine. He's painted, I got like a coffee table, that's got him. I got like a Wu-Tang joint that's from him. So like this guy, David Zambrano, he has been in my life since like 2011 when I joined a car club back in the day, and I was like, yo, can you airbrush me as like Kratos? He was like, could do anything. I'm like, my man. So, it to me, it was like, if I'm gonna step out, let me step out for the first time and look right. And, I had won the divorce, so I had some extra money. So I was
There you
like,
go. That, that's funny. So you think you probably picked up, how you wanted to cosplay from the previous conventions of not cosplaying. You're like, okay, I can't just step in here.
yeah, no,
And
but see,
also, that's your standards as well, probably.
that's the thing. I never knew cosplay was a thing. I didn't know there was a community. I didn't know anything. I just thought people were just like individually like dressing up or had some friends, whatever. I didn't know it was what it is, and I kind of got thrust into the deep end very early on because I was a very new commodity and I didn't realize there were so many young people within the community. Like cosplay is like, it's like that entry level, like especially during the pandemic. It was, or before the pandemic, it was like the entry level of of I guess stardom. Like if you could become popular through cosplay, then you can pivot to something else, if you have a personality to do so. And there's a lot of people who were jockeying for spots for notoriety when it came to being in this creator space. And when the pandemic hit, a lot of people couldn't do the pivot because like I said, you need to have a personality. You need to be able to speak. You need to be able to relate to people in a way where just taking photos, you don't, you know?
Mhm.
And then that's what Instagram all was for a good long while before we had to go towards TikTok and Reels and YouTube Shorts and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah, like
that.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I was saying I could you can actually track the maturation of content creation through the last 8 years.
Okay, cool. That's funny because here I am. I'm fairly new to the convention world, cosplay world. I very little cosplay. I do it just for honestly, just for fun because I'm a little goofy like that. Once I
Right.
realized it, like Halloween, I love to dress up. You look at our family photos for the last 5, 6 Halloweens. We're all in some kind of get up together until recently my daughter started wanting to do something different.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was around I've always wanted to go to cosplays myself and or conventions myself and cosplay, but I have confidence, but and I'm loud, but you have to know me to see all that. Like
Hmm.
when I'm in other spaces, especially without the crew, I'm more reserved because, I don't want to overtalk people.
Hmm.
I don't want people to be like, oh, that was weird. Look at that guy. And then,
Hmm.
I see, pandemic happens. I had to quit my job because we moved up to Charlotte for my wife, her new job, and I had to quit to do the homeschool thing with my daughter.
Hmm.
And so I did some painting and I also tried to stream. Streaming was fun, but I'm not that rambunctious while playing video games. I like to concentrate really. Yeah. So and then I tried to do this my skateboard company, 88th Universe. So you see that little logo at the end of all of our videos along with all of our entertainment. Um, it didn't go well because you need a lot of money to start a skateboard company.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I knew I wanted to create something and I loved all, like, I have a room like this, I have a bunch of toys and things like that. I'm like, why not dive into the nerd world and this blurred stuff that I'm just hearing about? You know, I crave to see black creativity and black originality things, especially in the comic book world, because growing up, favorite superheroes, Green Lantern, the John Stewart, Black Lightning, things like that. Anytime I see a black hero. And so seeing you guys do what you do, it inspires me every single day to keep on going, keep trying. Um, so what drew you to wanting to keep pushing the meter of this cosplay world and going professional? I mean, I'm sure you didn't foresee, CEO of Blerd and Powerful, emissary of Blerd
No,
Station, actor, professional cosplay. What kept
no.
you what kept you driving?
Um, it honestly was, I guess it was like the satisfaction and the fulfillment of bringing something together or bringing something to life that I envisioned in my head. You know, um, the He-Man situation, I completely had it in my mind that I was going to do that one time. That was going to be a one-time thing, because I just wanted, like, I'm 14 months into cosplay, and I'd never wanted to diet for a cosplay, and I just didn't want to. That was something I was like, I'm leaving that part of my life behind me. And then it took off the way that it did, and it gave me a platform. Like overnight, I had, like, I think I had, before I did He-Man, I think I had like maybe, excuse me, like maybe like 4,200 followers on Instagram. Something modest, something like I was chilling,
And that's after how long into being into it?
cosplay, like, at least I was in the cosplay. I said it was 14 months when I did that, but I didn't make an Instagram page until possibly that year of early 2018,
Mm.
because I didn't think there was a need for me to do so. I was just doing this sparingly. Like, why do I need to have a name? Like, I need to have a name for being a cosplayer? Like, that doesn't make any sense, right? Like, so I'm just saying, like, I was being taught a lot of things, right, by the community. And because they did welcome me. A lot of people did welcome me with open arms, but I did have a certain type of mentality that a lot of people couldn't rock with back then, because I was ignorant of a lot of how the nerd community or the blur community really worked. Because it's governed by a lot of people who have been bullied, in their middle school, high school years, and a lot of them came into their own as soon as they put on a cosplay. They found themselves as soon as that happened, but then that does not resolve any traumas that you may have. So
Sometimes creates a villain origin story, sometimes, maybe.
all the time, all the time, there are a lot of people who move throughout this space that um that need therapy, you know and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying it's something that's required, because I'm in therapy, shit, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I need it. There's some childhood stuff that I need to deal with. There's some stuff that, that makes me
That's a
want
good
to be
thing.
a right. I want to be a better father for my son, a better, husband for a wife. Like there's a lot of different, things about me that needed fixing, and I'm not too big of a man to admit to that. But jumping into this community, I needed that lesson. I needed to be shown that things are different. And it took a while to get some traction, but um yeah, like I said, when I did He-Man, I think I had like either like 4,200 followers or something. And then within, I want to say a month, because the pictures got on Reddit, and it just did something different. And I think that was October of 2018. By, I want to say, January of 2019, I had about like 12,000 followers.
Okay, so I want to take a minute to explain how crazy what we just heard was. We've all heard of becoming a sensation overnight. Well, that's essentially what happened with Demetrius. His first cosplay was such a hit that it had a lot of people in the cosplay community and online wondering, who is this Hellspawn guy and what is he gonna do next?
And it was just an explosion. And one of my friends was like, well, now that you have all these people like paying attention to what you're doing, what are you going to do with it? And I was like, well, okay, so I guess I do need a platform. And something that was like near and dear to my heart was the fact that I was able to represent something for myself that I saw as a child that I couldn't see as a child. Because I'm 40 years old, so that means that I grew up in the era of Thundercats and He-Man and Maycross, and you know what I mean,
Hmm.
like that was my era, 84 to, like I said, 94, before Power Rangers came out in 93, and then Tokusatsu just kind of took over for me. um um but there were no like real black heroes for us to look up to back then. The most that we had was like Mantis, or Meteor Man,
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say
back then.
Meteor Man.
So, when I did He-Man, it was all about the representation for that little boy who was 4 years old watching He-Man. Because I never looked at He-Man as like, I'm He-Man. I'm the strong, blonde-headed, bowl-cut, white boy. No,
Yeah.
I always thought of like He-Man as myself. And that's why, in my mind, when He-Man went from Adam to He-Man, his hair had a shortcut, and then it went to the fro, because the power has always been in our hair one way or another. You could
Yeah.
tell that narrative. And then that whole look was something that I've had in my head since I was 5, since I was 4 or 5 years old. So, that's when my platform became, the representation for minorities within mainstream media, and trying to bolster that. And that was right around the time, let's see, what, 2018. We had just seen, the Black Panther came out in February 2018. So that means that the image of little kids looking at the Black Panther poster, talking about, that's me right there. That I think
Hmm.
that's something that we've all seen in our mind's eye, in our collective mind's eye. And because I remember when New Jack City came out, there was nobody we could point to on that poster.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then like, uh, I actually have the book that helped, like, what I'm saying,
Oh,
like, it's in this what I'm
uh,
saying, in our collective mind's eye. Like, I saw this at the movie theater. Then to see this book come out with the same image, that means that we all have seen a child, or even been that child, that had wanted to be represented properly by either a superhero, or a king, a queen, a warrior, a princess, whatever, and we just really did not have it.
yeah. I
So,
I mean, me and my brother and me and my friends and cousins, we all do. Every kid did that when they're watching TV. And the funny thing is, we would all argue who's the black one because we're all, little black kids. So,
Mm,
and that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm happy that you are joining us, because that's what I do see. Like when I see black cosplayers, especially the ones that are starting to be bigger than life, like on the internet and starting to be, known and things like that. I think of Jamal Purvis of Nerd.0, and he's out here in Charlotte. Like you guys, y'all do work in the community, and it seems like y'all really just want to show kids the things that we weren't able to see.
hmm. Yeah.
And that's like I said before, that's the reason I'm behind it. Like one of my main agendas is make reading cool again. Like I'm a big reader. I love to write more than what I do, but the ADD sometimes kind of gets me
Mm,
away from that.
mhm, mm.
But yeah, that's why I was so interested in talking about Blurred and Powerful. What exactly, for the people that don't know, explain what the mission statement and what Blurred and Powerful is all about.
Well, Blurred and Powerful is all about two things really: the mental and emotional well-being for Black nerds, as well as the promotion and notoriety, like boasting the notoriety of Black-owned comic book conventions. You know, I tell it all the time. Like I have friends who run conventions, like Jason Richardson from J1 Con, or Hilton George from Blerd Con, or Eric Cooper from Black Label Comic Con. Like I know several convention owners, like a lot of them actually. And the angel story from them is that they just need the money, they need the funding to do more or to do what they can without stressing, and it's not really possible. Um, Jason J1 Con, he and his wife, they take out their life savings every single year in order to fund their convention, and that means that they are betting on people to come and turn somewhat of a profit for them, so that they can have some sort of livelihood after the fact.
Do you
You
hear
know,
that, guys? Do you guys hear that? So anybody out there, it's like, oh, these black convention, nobody ever funds them. Which we're If they're out there, they're funding them.
they're funding them
That's
on their
their
own,
money. That's
right?
their money.
Right. In between that, and because for all intents and purposes, Black conventions do not get the sponsorships or the opportunities that regular conventions get, because there's several things knocking at the door that's keeping them there, right? Which is like your inherent racism. Then you have the lack of faith that we can do what we say we can do, which is bring people in, and the lack of resources to actually host the convention for multiple days as opposed to just one day. So people do what they can with what they've got. Um, I've seen last year, 2024, four first year conventions were scheduled to happen. Three failed, one didn't. And it was in between having a lack of funds or a lack of, marketing or ad revenue or ads to promote the thing. It's sorely disappointing because each black eye, each convention failing is not just a black eye, but it's more like a kidney shot,
Mm.
to what we're all doing, because those will be the first things people will point to
Yeah.
are the failures, not the successes, but the failures.
You could have, 30. Uh, one failure for every 30. It wouldn't matter. They
Yeah,
would literally point it out.
and there's only 33 black conventions in the country.
Yeah. There you go. So we don't even have that
So
many, guys. You got to think
no,
about this.
but so that's what I'm saying. Like, between trying to, that's why my website, blerdandpowerful.com, has a comprehensive list of each and every convention that is owned by a black person, in each state. So, you have the ability to plan. Is this state close to me, or is this convention close to me? Let me see if I can make that one work and just go. You got some folks that want to rank black conventions. Like, why do you want to do that when they don't have the notoriety to even be popular in the first place? You know, you only have like maybe three or four popular black-owned conventions, and that depends on, you know, what kind of scandal happened at them. You know what I mean? Or, or how close in proximity they are to you, and how many people are saying that they're going to it. A lot of
Yeah.
people know about DreamCon because the base, the base for that fandom is in Twitch
Yeah. Or the
streamers. You know what I
RDC
mean?
world, it was from their YouTube videos. They
Right,
had the fans before they created it.
right. So that's the key, isn't it? Now create
Yeah.
a community before you create the thing, to go forward. But then you got your Blerd Con, which it took work for that to grow, especially through all the different, hiccups that it had. Then you got Jason, J1 Con's been around for 10, 12 years. Then you have the higher end folks with like Afrofuturism Con or Afrofuturism Lounge. That's mainly the the artists and the investors within the Blerd community that you don't really hear
Okay.
about. You know,
Gotcha.
like those are the folks over in San Diego that got money that just happen to be there, but they are all about community organization. Like those are the old heads that got real power, and like those are folks that y'all don't even know about. So it's it's crazy how there's so many tiers to this, and people only talk about the one echelon that they know of, and they think that's the only thing. And like, no, there's so much more to this. It's so much more deeper. And trying to explain it to folks who can't see it because they can't see the forest for the trees, that's what we're running into a lot of the time.
Yeah. One main thing I try to do, like I try really hard to not try not to be so combative when I see people speaking ignorantly about things like that, especially when they are themselves a black person. Um, it's just I just try to explore or just try to get them to lean into their curiosities. Like when I found this, like I was just like a kid in the candy store, and I'm like, whoa, there's more conventions.
Hmm.
There's actually people like, you know, Kevin Murphy, you, the guys over at Blerd's Eye View.
Hmm.
Like, there's so many people actually trying to build a community like this, and I'm like, don't you guys just want to like explore and see what's up? You guys always saying like we don't have this, we don't have that, but I've been like blowing through a ton of black comic books like Wiseacre Comics. Like I'm obsessed with it right now.
Hmm.
Like, like I love it. What do you find is your best way to, try to reach people that don't understand what's going on?
Um, Honestly, like, even though I've been given these opportunities through like Blurred Station or even with Blood and Powerful, I see that I have the most success in talking to people, or at least getting my point across, through the videos that I'm making when I'm like doing cosplay. You know what I mean? Like if I'm telling, because like I just do the thing, I just make the thing. Like there's,
Yeah.
the the PSAs, the He-Man PSAs or Hero Core PSAs that I had launched a Kickstarter for back in 2020.
Yeah.
You know,
I was actually just watching that.
Yeah, so like we done one. We've already recorded the audio for the other four, because it's supposed to be five total. There was only
Mhm.
supposed to be one. I was told by the company that I worked with, Art Monkey Animation, which is Oliver Banks, who's the animator, an Emmy award winning, animator. um, he was like, you give me $1,000, I'll put together the um the animation for it. I was like, all right, bet. So I launched a Kickstarter and I asked for $1,000 during the pandemic when everyone was on lockdown, and we came away with $20,000.
Wow.
And that it only seemed right to do as many as we possibly could.
Yeah.
With the payouts that I had to pay to all the companies that decided to jump in with me and all that stuff. Um, and we had about like 5 grand left. So I'm like, if you do a five, a 2 to 3 minute PSA in under, or a 30-second PSA for $1,000, I got 5 grand for a year. Here it is. And he's like, bet. And it's just been taking time, but we're still making it. He did the intro, he did the first one, and that's something that I can say is proof of concept that we can do something together that would ultimately benefit our community. Having kids be able to see, people move in ways that they may not be able to see down the street from where they live. You know, all you need to see is that person in real time doing the thing that you might be able to imagine, doing the thing that you might be able to like, imagine yourself doing, and then who knows what that will spark within you.
All right, nerds. Welcome back to What's Your Nerd with our guest, Demetrius Holt. So, Demetrius,
Yes, sir.
do you have a top five anime list?
Uh,
Or,
um,
or if that's hard, do you have a three anime starter pack for somebody who's getting into anime?
that's even
Either or.
worse.
Oh, that's even worse. Oh man. Because I always
Because
have that one loaded up, you know?
because like because of the classics, you have the when I say classics, I'm talking about of you got your Gundam, but not Gundam, not the first one. I would have to say Gundam Wing, because that was kind of like the Gundam I was introduced to through
Yeah.
Toonami. But then like I said, if I was damn, because I could just rattle off like, of course there was Ronin Warriors and then Sailor Moon, and then there's Big O, and then um
Mm,
okay,
mm.
because I'm also
Yeah.
a fan of Guyver, right? So Rurouni Kenshin, uh Flame of Recca, Ninja Scroll. Like I got like you got me like thinking of
We
like
see,
everything that I was like
I
really
always
into.
hesitate.
Transformers.
I was thinking about that when I was going to either do that one or like your favorite all-time favorite superhero. Like, what was your favorite growing up looking up to?
Okay. Okay. So there's levels to that, of course. So as far as like the top three recommendations as far as anime go, let me go back to that question. I personally am a fan of My Hero Academia, um, because I'm a fan of really any anime that deals with like powers. Like I have a thing for powers because that's fantasy is other people's things or whatever. No, powers. I need powers. With them at like needs to be that. Um, so there's that. I'm rewatching right now. I'm doing a rewatch of Naruto and Dragon Ball Z, and I just did a watch for the first time of the original Dragon Ball because I had seen some episodes, but I never saw where Goku was a teenager. So that was
Yeah.
like all new for me. But as far as the question of superheroes, like I was heavily into the X-Men growing up, and as a child, you're a fan of Wolverine. As an adult, you're a fan of Cyclops. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, there's
Well,
Spider-Man's always
as
been
a child, I was a fan of Gambit. Like he was my guy.
okay.
And
Okay.
then I liked Wolverine, and I grew up. I was like, wait, Cyclops is the coolest.
Yeah, he's
He
that
knows
dude.
he knows
Like,
what's going on.
and like, he's for his people. Like, he's the revolutionary for the
Yeah,
mutants that we kind of need for Black folks. Like, he really is. There's no getting around it. I mean, and
which is
like,
which is by the way, my one of my favorite videos you did
which one?
was is when well one was the Jedi are cops.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah,
that
yeah,
was hilarious. And then the what about Cyclops
man,
when you're in your cosplay. Those two are the funniest and the best. Not just because they're
man.
funny.
I didn't think that I was going to connect with a character like that. But no, but the one character that I have tattooed all over me is Spawn.
Yeah.
Spawn, I resonated with him after I read Faust. Like in the sixth grade, my Mrs. Subnosky, she was in the fifth grade. She was my fifth grade lit teacher, and she recommended that. And then I went into the to middle school, reading Faust. And then in 1996, I got introduced to Spawn through a couple of comics and some action figures that my parents and I happened to come across while we were on a trip to Florida at a thrift store. And then 1997, the movie came out, and then then the animated series came out on HBO. I mean, that was it. That was like all the other superheroes were cool, but they weren't Spawn. And I dived into that. Like this entire there's like a whole section right there that you let me see here. Because I don't think I've ever showed you the rest of the. So that's all the Power
Oh,
Ranger stuff,
yeah.
and that's my original like Castle Grayskull down at the bottom, and then like the Spawn stuff is like from the movie is there, and then that entire section over there is
Oh, yeah, I
all the
see
Spawn
that.
figures. So yeah,
Nice.
it's that is, and then and like the rest of the stuff is all from like KB Toy Store from like back in the day, and
But
I would.
next I did want to talk about Blerd Station. All right,
Okay, I
yeah.
think so. Tech startups are really difficult to get funding for, especially if they're black owned, unless you already have a consortium of people who have money already backing you. And what we were trying to do, what we're still trying to do, is have the subscribers, you know, who pay into this gain the most benefit of it. That's why we were talking about like, the first 5,000 people to sign up for as a subscriber, you will own a piece of Blerd Station because those 5,000 people, will help us get launched, and we haven't reached that number yet. So we're trying to um we have come up with different ways to get the money to launch. And it's all about at this point public relations and marketing and who we can get to be a spokesperson for us on a grander scale. Um, the reason why I was brought into Blerd Station is because there is a Netflix executive that's been following me for years on Instagram, and I didn't know it. Um, but he's a part of Blerd Station, and he was like, if your plan is to build a community around an IP before you launch the IP, then the person you need to talk to bring that IP to the community is Hellspawn. And that's how my name got brought up in the conversation because I was already talking about Blurred and Powerful by this time.
Hmm.
So so then that's when I got reached out by them, and they was like, listen, we have the platform, we have the way to pay the people that we want to pay. It's just a matter of getting it started, and the best way to do that is to start with the community, and have this be as grassroots as possible. And I had to tell them, I was like, as a community, we've all been burnt several times by people coming through saying that they can do this or they could do that for us, and then like they're gone in an instant.
Yeah.
He says, well, that's why I'm kind of coming to you is because you seem to be a staple. It don't look like you're going anywhere. I'm like, well, shit. Like,
Well
nah, I'm
played.
not. No, but that's why it took me like 4 months to really like vet these people before I like leaned heavily in and became a believer myself. You
Yeah.
know, so it's coming. Like I was just talking to Kevin today, and he's working out some things on a different echelon than I'm able to. And like the people that I'm having conversations with are people that I've worked with before. I don't know if you've have you seen my Juneteenth documentary or at least
Actually,
know about it?
I was started watching it. I got distracted today, but I
It's
I
fine.
did. Yeah.
So the people who helped produce that for me, like I've been talking to them the last couple days, and I'm saying like, listen, you're a black owned in production house. Other production companies within the area or even across the country. What if, realistically speaking, you all were able to pull together a certain amount of money to invest in the Blerd Station to help us get started, and then we will be able to provide you uh with a right to refusal for work. for these different IPs that we want to get produced, you all will be the first ones to say we want to do this or we don't want to do that. So you be able to be the first ones to get that check, for when we get funded for that. And it's something that they want to take to their their inner circles, their group chats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like that's like a really good way to get the new Black Hollywood started is by using Black production studios, invested into this distribution platform to have people of color run it, you know,
Yeah.
tell
And
our
that's
stories the way that we want to see them.
and always want to say, like you said in your video before, this isn't exclusion.
No.
Just because we got our own, because that's
Hmm.
kind of how all this stuff has already been. It's just not
Hmm.
black,
Yeah. So
except they do work on exclusion in a lot of those other avenues.
right, and things like if it's funny how we start talking about boosting ourselves up, immediately translates to we no longer wanting to deal with them, or them thinking that like every every accusation is a confession. You know what I mean? So when they get mad at us for not caring or for like the 92% of black women who decide that they're just done, you know what I mean? Now all of a sudden, they're feeling like we have a vendetta against them the way that they would have against us, And I'm like, no, like we're just
It's not
and
hurt
that's
feelings.
right. But see, that's been to the detriment of black people for years. Like there's parts of me that's very Martin Luther, and then there's a lot of parts of me that's very Malcolm. And I'm like,
Yeah.
there's only so much talking to be done.
And that's one of the reasons why I like following you online. It's because it's like, don't get me wrong, I do have there is a lot of fight in me, but you have
Yeah.
to earn that. You really have to earn that. I get accused of being too nice sometimes. I give people chances. It's not that I give them chances. I have, firewalls and guardrails up for people when they let me down, but I'd like to see if they would.
Mm.
I'd like to see, I'd like, I like to see more people trusting, but also we need people like you. It's like, hey, you know what? You got to the guardrails. Here's what I gotta say. Like you say, you have a little bit of Malcolm, you have a little bit of Martin. You just gotta
See,
balance them a little bit.
but see, that's the thing though. We all of us we see all these posts about in 2025 we're not going where back and forth. We're not, what I mean. We're not doing these things, whatever. But then yet we seem to fall into that same like cycle of explaining ourselves to these white folks,
Exactly.
explaining why we're doing things. No, like I'm not even explaining myself to black folks at this point because I had a back and forth with somebody who was like, what do you mean like, they said, well, I didn't vote, but what do you mean someone voted the wrong way or the right way? That doesn't make sense to me. And I'm like, if I have to explain it to you now, post election, then there's nothing that I can say that will change your mind. And therefore, I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to talk to people whose minds I have to change. I'm here to talk to people who are already of a like mind of
We don't have
myself.
time for that anymore.
I don't, I don't, I
We have to
don't, I don't
move
have,
on. If you want to
listen,
jump on eventually, feel free.
listen, like I am, like I've been a father for the last 5 years. My bandwidth for explaining things and you know exactly where I'm going with this.
Yes,
My
sir.
my bandwidth for explaining things to people who do not know extends to him and to him
Exactly.
only.
Hmm.
If what's understood doesn't need to be explained, then I rock with you. If that does not apply to you, then find someone else to explain it to you. I am not your explainer in chief. I am not President Obama. I cannot do that. I will not do that. you know if you I'll explain to you what the process is so that we can move forward, but if I'm explaining something to you so that you can have a rebuttal against me because you don't believe in what I believe in, then you're not talking to the right one.
Exactly.
at
And I'm
at that
willing.
point,
Go ahead.
no, I'm saying at that point I'm just using you to boost the algorithm of the video.
Yeah.
because that's genuine engagement. Like my feelings have detached so far from people at this point.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of people lose me. A lot of my conversations usually end with, "Hey, I had no idea I was upsetting you. I'm just going to take this time to exclude myself from this conversation because I thought we were trying to move forward versus, harping on the same old thing," which is
Hmm.
why, I feel like it's really easy for people to get behind Blerd Station. If you actually take the time to look at things like some of these comics from some of these black people, some of these
Hmm.
animations and some of these creations from some of these artists online, you will know that the substance is there.
Yeah.
The substance is there. The know-how is there. We have the creators, we have, you know, people that know how the inside of all that stuff works, to keep these things running. All we need is the belief, the following.
So, and the thing is, we have it. It's just people need to see it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and a lot of people will believe once they see it, as opposed to because like me having the beta was a game changer for a
it
lot of
was.
people. For because I was talking about it all throughout 2023. And people like I'm like it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's something that it's going to be great, whatever. And the folks like, yeah, okay. That's even that San Diego. Folks are like, cool. When I came to San Diego this past year in 2024 with the beta in hand, they were like, oh.
Oh,
I'm
this is
like,
your event.
see, and these are the same people I talked to the year before, and so like it's not like I'm a new person. It's just now I have the thing,
Yeah,
and yeah, it's I know so because like I pay attention to the Facebook groups, you know, I see what these people are saying. There's so many people that are like detractors from what's possible, and it's because they're jaded. Again, I don't have the bandwidth to go back and forth with them. I'm just here to just let you know that it's coming, and I'm working very much in the background to make sure that it is coming because when you think about like what Crunchyroll is to the anime community for this to be a possible, lightning rod for black creators, a lot of people just need the opportunity.
yeah,
They got the stuff. We have content for years to produce. It's just a matter for the funds to do it.
yep.
All these people are just waiting in line. And because they're not going to get it from Netflix, they're not going to get it from Amazon, they're going
Yeah,
to keep,
not
they're going
without
to keep,
not without selling their like exactly what they want to have
right.
make.
That
You
was
have to do a lot of selling to get what you want a lot of the times.
the
And
folks who made the Boondocks. We are Carl and Love Jones. They have a whole ass anime with Meg The Stallion that they just got sitting on the shelf since 2020.
really,
But they're not gonna release it. They're not gonna drop it on anybody's platform that's white because what happened with the Boondocks and Black Dynamite? They were forced by Cartoon Network to and Adult Swim to change what they wanted creatively in those shows, and they don't want to do that anymore. So
nope.
they're just sitting on it. They're just sitting on that. And Meg's been on tour twice now since they had that thing,
Man,
And I'm saying, and they said that they would help us. You know what? I need to talk to Kevin about that. Let me see what we can do about that. Anyways, they said they would help us, but only if we got started on our own. And I'm like, that's kind of shitty, but I guess that's the game.
yeah, yep. But like I always tell people, go check out Blerd Station,
Hmm.
please. Like he said, he told people, what is it, 2023 you told them, and then came
Yeah,
back a year later and with evidence in hand. That's all. I'm
yeah.
just
I'm not.
asking everybody to take a look at some of these things. Just take a look.
That's all. And like honestly, that 8 minute long video that I put up, like there's a lot of people who are sharing that. That thing's over 1,000 shares. Who would think on Instagram an 8 minute long video would do would have traffic?
Yeah,
You know,
that's wild for an Instagram video.
yeah. Especially with me only having like 22, like well, at the time I had like 20,000 followers, but now it's like I've got like 600 follows from that thing. Like there's somebody out there who is looking at that platform, and they're just probably just waiting to see what we do as opposed to helping us.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of things that were like sitting on the shelf or, that kind of picks up traction, if you look at it, I was watching one of your videos about He Soul. I was looking for that issue number 4, cover C. I can't
Hmm.
find it. I mean, I found it on eBay. I gotta get eBay account though. So
Oh, yeah. Shoot. Because I think the individual prints are gone. Because I've seen at my local comic book shop they have the trade paperbacks for them now. But
mm,
so that means that this really is like a limited edition cover now.
I'll find it eventually.
Okay,
But
man.
on other things, so the first disappointment of 2025 for me was not only the Hunter x Hunter exams being canceled. Well, I signed up late anyway, so I was just in training for next year. But the main event, the highlight match that I was waiting for, what would it be? What would it be like? Shawn Michaels versus who? What level would that have been on? But
Sean
you
Mike.
versus Deron Flood.
Oh, so if you want to talk about, uh, call me I would be the Bret the Hitman Hart, and he would be Shawn Michaels. I would have got screwed.
Okay,
I'm pretty
there it
sure.
is. There it is. It's been a while for me.
Yeah, I'm the veteran, and he's the upstart coming in this piece. That's
Yeah,
that's the
man,
way I see it.
y'all's hype videos, they were so good. Y'all had people fooled. I was like, there's no way these guys are actually bad at each other.
No, but we were talking. The thing is, he came out of nowhere with his initial like taunting. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
wait. I was like, what? I had to check myself. Like, wait, do I got beef with him? No, I thought we were cool. Like I'm like, okay, there's because I seem to attract a rival at least one a year. At least someone is always trying to go for my spot, and it's not even a spot that I hold. I'm just here, you
It
know.
keeps you on your toes anyway.
Yeah, and it's fine, it's cool, like but that because that develops a certain type of tribe, and those are people that I rock with. Like
Yeah.
those are people I'm in group
Competitors,
chats
the
with.
ones that push each
Yeah,
other.
yeah, like iron sharpens iron. That's something that we talk about all the time. But yeah, he came out of nowhere with that, and I was thinking, well, is he? Is this beef? All right, I can cook it a little bit because then as we start going back and forth in the comments, I was like, oh, he wants to fight. Oh, okay. And so that's when I made my video, talking about we have a problem. And then that's when we started talking, through the DMs, talking about, yeah, like, so do you have like a bio I can get? And he was trying to go real professional with this shit. And and I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, and like when he made his video, I thought it was dry. I was like, that's
I
not,
felt them trying to pick up the persona of
yeah,
someone, but yours, I was feeling Randy Savage. I was feeling
yeah,
that off
yeah.
you. I was
I
like, is
I
that what he's going for? Because
I
he's
I
in the
have
camera.
I have the mindset of Ultimate Warrior, but I
Okay.
understand. But Ultimate Warrior his cadence is too slow
Hmm.
in order to get all this information out. If I'm promoting a convention, if I'm promoting, somebody, whatever, I need to talk quickly. And so that's where Randy Savage comes from. And then that Randy Savage also kind of turns into Booker T a little bit. If I get if
Yeah.
I get if I get hyped, you know. But but yeah, cutting the promo, man. Like there's some things there's some ones that I did back in 2019 when I was going up against Richard when he was my man at arms. Um, yeah, and we were just talking shit online, and like, yeah, like this was fun. It got really hyped for me. I was getting ready to do something I thought was gonna be really cool, and then I got that email where they canceled it, and
Yeah.
I have never. It's been a while since I've been that disappointed.
Yeah,
Like it really was.
you were
Like
ready for it. I mean, it's honestly, it was like this how good of a job you guys did on it because not only was I excited for it because of Hunter x Hunter, like every 3 years, I'm like, I'm gonna get into shape.
mhm.
I started doing that and I started doing it before New Year's though. I started like before sometime before Christmas. And then I saw that and y'all kept me motivated. I usually would have stopped by now. So like I'm now into it and I'm now upset that it's not happening. But I like somebody's got to do something. Like we got to have some kind, you know how they have those Spartan competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
Like somebody should do that, not even for like as like really like a marathon type thing where people can
it's
bond over
it's
anime
the
and fitness.
it's the insurance.
Oh, okay.
No,
Yeah. Yep.
that's I'm pretty sure with what they were with what with what the hunter's exam is, whomever is sponsoring it needs to have a considerable amount of insurance for the people that that's going to be competing.
Makes a lot of sense.
And that's what escaped me, amongst the plane. Like, okay, this sounds good as a fan, but fuck, as a businessman, you
How y'all
know,
doing that?
right? And I was like, oh, they got it. They white. You know what I mean? They got it. No, they didn't have it. They didn't have it. So I
Oh
was I
man.
was I was disappointed because things I'm not a runner at all. Like I'm a tank. I'm 6'2", 250. I have a stocky build. I don't have a runner's build. Like, I lift weights, but I'm always going to be concerned about my knees because it got one did get blown out a couple years ago. So,
Mm.
you know, um I was going to force myself to really pay attention to my body and get into a specific type of shape for this. And it all of the momentum, all the hype for it kind of just like dashed away in that moment. And it took me a whole afternoon to really process it, and be upset and like be in my feelings about it and just be like, you know what? I need to focus on Black conventions and Bird Station. Like this was a distraction.
Yeah.
I got other stuff I need to be doing. Plus
Yeah. I mean,
this
it
this
makes
Predator
sense.
cosplay.
You
Yeah.
put your whole you don't do anything half-ass is what I get from a lot of the things you
Right.
do. And you got excited for that. So I could see that, like being a heavy blow to you. You already had a schedule in your head, I imagine.
Yeah, I was like, all right, these 4 a.m. runs, like I got to be like Ippo, you know what I mean? I got to be out there running, I got to do my road work, and I
Yeah.
was getting my mindset to do that. I got my egg whites. And then some bitch. I was like, this is why you can't trust them, and this is why we have to keep turning inward so that we can lift each other up and we can do this ourselves and not have to worry about other people failing us. Like, God damn it.
There you go. There you go. Motivation
Uh,
right there. Well, I honestly don't have a lot more for you.
hmm?
I do have a small game, if you will, I wanted to play with you. It's
Okay.
called First Anime Character That Comes to Mind When I Say. All right. It's just going to be a
Okay.
word. Just going to be a word. Uh, First word, dark.
Gone.
Second, buzzkill.
Mr. Satan.
You try so hard not to be.
I'm like, why are you on screen, bro? Like, I was like, go away.
Inspiring.
All Might.
Oh yeah, that's the only one, right?
Man, not the only one, but
Well,
a
no,
big one.
just
Yeah.
I mean, out of the past like 3 years, he's been like the symbol
Yeah.
of peace. My son gravitated towards it when he was a baby. He's 6 now, but he loves All
Mm.
Might still.
See that was my comfort anime after my divorce. So I'm locked into that one until it finishes. Like I read the manga. Yeah, I know how it finishes. I know
Okay.
how it ends, but that's the one anime that I find myself watching over and over every single year to get ready for the next season.
Dude, that's one of the only animes I do. There's a couple other ones, but I do rewatches before the next season because
Hmm.
I already know what's going on. I'm already watching a bunch of animes. But
Hmm.
that one, I love My Hero so much. When it first came out, so many people were saying it's such a kiddie show, and I like, I watch it now. I'm like, really? Is this a
Yeah.
kid show?
Really?
It's
Dog.
like people look at Fire Force and they're like, that's a kid show. I'm like, you need to watch Fire
Which
Force, bro. Like, like
there was that one episode. It was like, oh, the church was the church.
yeah. Any
Yeah.
anime that has to do with a church, I'm probably gonna watch it. Like,
It was like, see,
just
they
don't
about
be
that bullshit.
blind faith, blind faith.
Hmm.
Next one, clumsy.
Clumsy. Metal Lee.
Oh, I didn't even think about Metal V.
I had to stop watching that. God damn. I know I've heard that it's gotten better, but I don't care.
No,
I don't care.
over
You,
it.
you give me a solid episode to start from, I'll watch it. If it's something, because like with you knowing with what I like at this point, like because if I'm rewatching Naruto and then going to end up watching, Shippuden again, I'm not going to want to watch what Boruto was that first
Yeah.
60, 70 episodes. Like,
I mean, it's just they hyped it up so much, and then I hear good things about the manga, but I hadn't watched it yet. So
mm,
I never finished Boruto either. I kind of lost steam.
mm,
But my son likes it, but it's really kiddie though.
mm.
Overkill.
Uh, one. I mean, all for one,
Yeah.
all for one.
Yeah,
Like, because I was just the first thing that came to my mind was with that punch, that the United States of Smash, and then when he had already the amount of powers that he or quirks that he had put into that one arm, like, damn, bro.
that
Okay,
was a lot.
a lot.
I mean, everything he does, or honestly, I'm thinking about uh why am I forgetting his name? Hands on the face.
Shigaraki.
Shigaraki. I don't know why I was about to say Tomagiri. Yeah, all of his forms, it's like that's a lot, man. Like the artist went overboard drawing him a lot of the times.
mm.
Dubious.
Is it devious?
Dubious.
Dubious. Oh,
Suspicious.
Urio Ishida. Fucking Bleach. Turncoat ass nigga. Like, he just redeemed himself this last week. You know what I mean? But why you gotta put us through that? We could have had a
Oh yeah.
conversation a long time ago.
I was gonna watch that today.
Okay.
No, I'm not a person I'd be like, oh, why you spoil it? It's hard to I get my feelings don't go away from words. I have to see it.
Fair enough.
And the last one, honor.
Honor. Um, some honorable shit. Zoro.
Zoro is the best character to pick honor for because I like to tell my friends, like, when I say you're my friend, look at that episode. Nothing happened. Like, I want to get that as a tattoo.
You
That's
know,
like the realest thing a friend could ever do in anime history.
I really, yeah, I think the same thing because in my mind, it was, yeah, nothing happened. And, um, when he turned to Mihawk and opened up his chest for it to be open, for it to be like, basically
Oh
cut,
yeah.
he was like, "What are
Mhm.
you doing?" He's like, scars on the back are a swordsman's shame.
Scars on the back are a swordsman's shame.
I was like, that's dope. Like,
Bro with the
but
bars. And also, like him forcing Luffy and Usopp to handle
hash
their
that shit out.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah, handle that,
the
or
best
or
number
else,
two.
yeah, man. Like yeah, nothing happened. Like since because for that to be his one of his most famous quotes, that has not I have yet to see that on a T-shirt or on a hoodie or anything. Like what are y'all doing?
I, we're working on our website and merch store, and I've been thinking of ideas like so that
Yeah.
you might have to go ahead and put that on a beanie and a shirt and stuff like that. Just like the comic book letters, the manga caption bubble saying
Mm.
nothing happened, the way it was.
And then if you talk about tattoos, like I am a singular theme type of person. So that's
Yeah,
why I've only got Spawn on me. And there's so much new anime coming out that makes you can't you can't latch onto one thing.
yeah,
It's so because something else new comes out. Like, you'd be like, oh man, if I want to get like a tattoo that represents a group and how they stand up for one another, let me get that joint from like One Piece where they were there at Water 7 to get Nico Robin. Then
yeah.
next
Like
thing,
hold up.
what I'm saying? Then the next time you turn around, you watching, you know, uh, uh you watching one with the Black Bulls and Homeboy. Homeboy was on his back.
Oscar.
Yeah, Homeboy was on his back, and then like, the team collapsed on that dude, talking about move. I dare you. And like they didn't say a word. You're like, you know what? If you
That
don't show
was
for
I forgot about that moment. That's a great
yeah,
moment. That is great.
and then
They
and
were
then
they weren't there, then they were there.
おいそれ以上手出してみやがれ
試合なんて関係なし。やるよ。
right, right. It wasn't nothing was said. It was everyone was there. Like that's got to be my team, you know. Or and then like the pull-up game from My Hero. Every single time someone comes from out of nowhere, like come on, man, like Lemillion. Lee, like there's too many. There's
There-
too many to get a tattoo of. So that's why I'm just like, I'm gonna stick with my spawn, and
Yeah.
I'm
I got two like they're kind of like not caricatures, but like the chibi style of Deadpools on my pack. They're two Deadpools fighting each other. But like I'm singular on like areas because I haven't got a tattoo of One Piece. Me and my buddy were supposed to get matching One Piece, not matching One Piece tattoos, but our One Piece tattoos like 15 years ago together. And
Mhm.
he's the only one that got one. I was like, I don't think I can get one yet.
Wow.
I was like,
Oh,
he was like, it's cool. He was like, it's cool. Like, but I'm getting mine. I was like, I don't feel right getting just one. I gotta figure it out, and it's not
You
even
left that
done yet.
man out. You left that man out to dry.
It was his idea, and he wanted to
Okay.
get it anyway. He got the Straw Hats flag right there on the chest. That's because he's pretty simple guy, and he's like, I want it. Boom. Me, I
Okay.
think about it too much, and I want more into it. And there's been more characters added since then. Like we were
Oh yeah.
kids. Like,
Yeah.
but
That,
yeah,
that goes into the whole thing. That goes into the whole narrative of like you can't get because I'm pretty sure there's a whole lot of people now who love Berserk until it finished.
oh, I never thought about somebody with a berserk tattoo, but I am sure you are right. There's somebody that didn't let
then
it play out.
right. And then like there's folks out there with Death Note tattoos, and like you realize what that means that you're basically an edge lord and nobody can really trust what you're saying or doing because you didn't get the right message. You know what I mean?
Everybody with the Akatsuki. I remember you had said something about
Oh,
that. It's like we like the style, like, but there are some people that they take Akatsuki like some of the white people take Joker. It's like it's a fun character, but it's not supposed to be taken like you're not
it's
supposed
not
to
a
live your life.
it's not a
Yeah,
personality. It's
exactly. It's
not a
not
personality.
something you want to live,
Oh,
not the code you want to live by.
golly, dog. And
It's like,
it's like
look,
it's not even the right one.
it looks good as a design for my chair. It's just the coat. I don't live my life by it. Naruto is just one of my favorite stories, And then the Itachi, that story is just crazy to me. Like I
Mhm.
loved it, but that don't mean I identify as the Akatsuki, especially after the fact.
It's not even Yahiko's Akatsuki, so it's the wrong one. Y'all are celebrating, you know, being nation destroyers as opposed to nation builders, and you didn't get the right message. And like, don't you realize that anime is here to help teach you how to be a better person, not a worse off person? It's
That was all I have for you, man. I appreciate you stopping by.
oh, man,
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
sometimes
The
I run
invitation.
long because I like talking to people, but
No, that's fine.
All right. As we wrap this podcast up, personally, I think that if there's one thing you should take away from my interview with Demetrius, is that no matter who you are or what your background is, there is a place for you in this world to fit in. Or at least a place for you to stand out with some blerds that'll probably be standing beside you. Okay, as we wrap this episode up, there's one thing I'd like to say. Personally, I think that if there's one thing that we all should take from my interview with Demetrius is that no matter who you are or what your background is, there's a place for you in this world to fit in, or at least a place for you to stand out with some Blerds that'll stand with you. Also, that we need to do everything we can to come together as a community now more than ever. We need to be vigilant about doing all we can to ensure that Black-owned conventions will not only exist, but be able to thrive just as much as any other convention and be a force to be reckoned with.
That is Hellspawn Cosplay, real name Demetrius Holt. Appreciate you coming on, man. Go check out Blerd and Powerful. Go check out Blerd Station.
Yep.
And go check out all the things my friend Demetrius Holt is doing in the community and for the community. You won't be let down, you know.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
because it means something to have your name be able to be, for someone to Google your name and you see or at least a good portion of what I'm doing, you know, and it's not like a rap sheet or some shit, you know. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's why I like, you know, people like you in the community, because it gives, you know, I don't take it lightly, you know. I know it's cosplaying, but like I know it's somebody else cosplaying, I'm following you, but like it's cool that my son could be like, hey, that's a real size Hawkman, like that's a real size Kratos, you know, and stuff like that. I think it's cool, and all it does is promote, you know, positivity, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Positivity, creativity, ingenuity, like all the stuff that we are inherently that's taken away from us because, you know, we are who we are and they are who they are. So if we can see it and embody it, be the change that we're looking for or change that we want to be, then it's our responsibility to do that. So
it is, as human beings, no matter who you are. But all right, man, I appreciate everything. That is What's Your Nerds, and we'll talk to y'all next time.
Peace.